The Galactic Council's northern wing had never been designed with children in mind. Its corridors were sterile white, lined with holographic displays showing trade routes and diplomatic treaties. The ceiling soared 3 stories high, built to accommodate the towering Kryn delegates and their crystalline exoskeletons. Everything about the space screamed official business only, which made the sight of 4 predator cubs huddled outside. Conference Room 7 all the more unusual. Tavi pressed his small gray snout against the reinforced glass door, breath fogging the surface. His ears, oversized and tufted like a Terran fennec fox, swiveled at every sound. Behind him, 3 other cubs from different species fidgeted. A Vral kit with iridescent scales, a Korthan pup whose 6 eyes blinked in nervous succession, and a tiny Sethrak hatchling who kept his venomous barbs carefully retracted. How much longer? The Vral kit hissed, her forked tongue tasting the air anxiously. She said 1 hour, Tavi replied without turning. It's been 53 minutes. Inside the conference room, Rhea sat perfectly still while the 7-member tribunal deliberated her fate. At 29 standard years, she'd become something of a legend in xenopediatric circles. The human who'd done the impossible. The woman who'd taken in predator species young. The head counselor, a Kryn named Zek Thular, adjusted his translation collar. His voice emerged in perfect galactic common, though his mandibles clicked with displeasure beneath it. Dr. Rhea, you understand our concerns. In the 17,000 years of council records, no caregiver has successfully raised cubs from predator species alongside prey species. The biological imperatives alone. With respect, counselor, Rhea interrupted gently. I'm not raising them alongside prey species. I'm raising them as children. The distinction seemed lost on Zek Thular. His crystalline carapace shifted colors from diplomatic blue to frustrated amber. Semantics will not change nature. The Taburi evolved as pack hunters. The Vral are ambush predators. You've documented incidents of aggression. I've documented normal childhood squabbles, Rhea corrected. She pulled up a holographic display with practiced ease. Tavi bit the Sethrak hatchling during a disagreement over a toy. They reconciled within 10 minutes. The Korthan pup growled at a visiting delegate, because that delegate raised his voice at me. These aren't acts of predatory violence. They're acts of family. Another counselor, a floating gas being whose name was unpronounceable, pulsed with magenta skepticism. Your reports indicate you use physical contact as a bonding mechanism, pressing these dangerous juveniles against your body, allowing them to sleep in your quarters. It's called a hug, Rhea said flatly. And yes, they sleep in my room. They're children. Traumatized children who watch their birth parents die in the frontier wars. They have nightmares. They need comfort. The 3rd counselor, a being of pure thought form, projected directly into her mind. But you are prey. Soft. Vulnerable. When instinct overrides reason, you will be harmed. Rhea's jaw tightened. She'd heard variations of this argument for 2 years now. Ever since she'd found Tavi hiding in the wreckage of a destroyed colony ship, whimpering over his mother's body. The authorities had wanted to euthanize the cub. Too dangerous, they'd said. No facilities equipped for his kind. She'd filled out the emergency foster certification that same day. Humans, Rhea said slowly, meeting each counselor's gaze in turn, are persistence hunters. We tracked prey across continents until it collapsed from exhaustion. We have forward-facing eyes, we eat meat, and our ancestors killed megafauna with pointed sticks. She leaned forward. By your logic, I'm a predator too. So maybe, just maybe, I understand these kids better than your actuarial tables do. Zek Thular's carapace flashed red. You compare yourself to... I compare myself to a mother, Rhea interrupted. Which is what I am, whether your council recognizes it or not. The silence that followed felt like a physical weight. Outside, Tavi's ears suddenly perked straight up. She's coming! The cubs scrambled into formation, a chaotic attempt at looking presentable that mostly involved shoving each other and hissing for quiet. The Sethrak hatchling's tail got stepped on. The Korthan pup tried to smooth down his ruffled fur with limited success. Then the door opened. Rhea emerged, and the first thing Tavi noticed was her smile. Not the tight professional smile she wore for strangers. The real one, the one that crinkled the corners of her eyes and showed her blunt human teeth. Rhea. Tavi launched himself at her, all coordination forgotten in his rush. She caught him effortlessly, swinging him up despite the fact that he'd grown considerably since that day in the wreckage. His species would eventually reach over 2 meters in height, with claws that could shred plasteel. Right now he weighed barely 20 kilos and smelled like the berry treats he'd stress-eaten while waiting. "We won?" he asked, though her smile had already told him everything. "We won," Rhea confirmed. As the other cubs piled into her, nearly knocking her over, she laughed, a sound like water over stones, Tavi thought, though he'd never actually seen a stream. Conditional approval for 2 more years. Then another review. The Vralkit's scales shimmered with joy. "They said yes?" "Actually, yes." "They said yes," Rhea repeated. She adjusted her grip as the Korthan pup climbed onto her shoulders, all 6 eyes blinking happily. The Sethrak hatchling wrapped around her ankle, barbs still carefully retracted. Down the corridor, several delegates had stopped to stare. A human woman, barely 165 centimeters tall, covered in predator cubs who could, by all biological models, tear her apart. She should have been terrified. She was laughing. Zekthular watched from the conference room doorway, his carapace still showing traces of amber frustration. But as Rhea herded her chaotic family toward the exit, Tavi riding on her hip, the Korthan pup on her shoulders, the other 2 cubs pressed close to her sides, something shifted in his coloration, a pale, grudging green, the Kryn equivalent of respect. "Perhaps," he muttered to the thought-form counselor beside him. "Humans are not prey after all. They're just predators who learn to love." Tavi didn't hear the comment. He was too busy telling Rhea about the comic book he'd been reading, his voice bright with relief and his small clawed hand clasped tightly in hers. She squeezed back, smiling. Outside, the twin suns of the council homeworld were setting, painting the sterile corridors in warm orange light. Somewhere in the distance, a transport ship prepared for departure. But Rhea and her cubs weren't going anywhere. They were finally officially going home.